Matt,
Yeah.
before you go, I just got a text from somebody. They will remain nameless, but they got, let's just say they have incredible credibility when it comes to basketball. And they mentioned to me Karl Anthony Towns.
Yo, what's going on, guys? Crispy Flakes here. So as you just saw, Stephen A. Smith said that there is perhaps a behind-the-scenes Karl Anthony Towns, Portland Trailblazers type of trade going down this NBA offseason, guys. Before we get into, why this would happen, if you guys don't mind leaving a like on the video, man, 1,000 likes is always to go help me grow this channel, grow this series, and of course, subscribe if you're new to the channel, as we are on our way to 300,000 subscribers here on the main channel, Crispy Flakes, man. But yes, okay, so when it comes down to it, we gotta look at both sides of the story. I mean, the Portland Trailblazers, they simply, with Damian Lillard throughout his career, have underachieved. And by that, I mean Damian Lillard is one of the greatest point guards of all time. And the fact of the matter, I think that Portland has done a pretty poor job, no pun intended, of putting the right talent around Damian Lillard. The other day, I saw a side-by-side comparison, and I don't mean to make this comparison, but I'm going to. I saw a side-by-side comparison of the talent that Damian Lillard has played with and the talent that Steph Curry has played with, and it's night and day, man. Now, obviously, Steph Curry is still a top 2 point guard of all time, regardless. But it just has me wondering, like, how great Damian would be if he had some better teammates around. Not saying, CJ's a bad player or Nurkic. It's just, it's not Kevin Durant and Klay Thompson when it comes down to it, right, man? So this will be an opportunity to get a superstar type of guy along Damian Lillard for the first time in his NBA career. And you look over at Minnesota's side of things, and I mean, I hate to say it, but they've kind of become the poster boy of having, like, these dominant big guys that eventually leave the franchise for bigger and better things, just because for whatever reason, I don't know if it's ownership of Minnesota, they just, in a bit of bad luck too. I mean, you talk about Kevin Garnett, he's the first guy. Kevin Garnett was there in that era where Joe Smith kind of had like an under the deal type of thing going on, and they lost 5 first-round draft picks, so they were unable to really get, I mean, when you have a star player like Kevin Garnett on a team that's already tough getting free agents on because it's Minnesota, those draft picks are important. And you go to, Kevin Love, who was dropping damn 30-20 games and stuff like that, and didn't really lead to winning basketball. So eventually he got traded for Andrew Wiggins to the Cleveland Cavaliers to compete with LeBron James. And now we're seeing the same thing with Karl Anthony Towns, man. However many seasons, he's 25 now. So what's that, like 6-7 seasons now into his NBA career with Minnesota, and little really to show for it. Now, this previous season, I will say, man, before we get into the trade talks, I am a little hesitant to actually trade Cat away from Minnesota, at least for one more season. And the reason I say that is because, for one, Anthony Edwards, right up there for Rookie of the Year. Like, this kid could be, like, near All-Star next season, man. Like, he really is that good, right? But also, when it comes down to it, like, they just got D'Lo not too long ago. I know it was like a season ago at this point, but D'Lo has had his share of injury issues. Cat has had his share of injury issues and, personal things in his life that, by the way, I feel so absolutely horrible about too, man. Like, when it comes down to it, I mean, I want Cat to be happy, not just on the basketball court, but also off the basketball court. That goes to say with anybody, right, man? But, so we've never really gotten to see this team's full potential until the end of last NBA season. I guess technically the current NBA season, but last regular season, I should say. And they were looking pretty damn good, man. They were looking pretty damn good. I'm looking at the stats right now, and they have 4 guys on this team averaging like 20-plus points. That being D'Lo, Anthony Edwards, Malik Beasley, Karl Anthony Towns. Now, of course, if all those guys are playing together, then that's not going to be the case, just because it's a lot of cases where this team just really could never get chemistry down. They just could not get their chemistry down because guys were injured or out for other reasons, and there was always somebody to step up to the plate. But when it comes down to it, man, like, I want to see a full season of this team healthy. I still think that D'Lo, Cat, Anthony Edwards, they're going to get a top pick. Hopefully a top pick. I guess it could also go to the Golden State Warriors. But they should be getting a top pick maybe this NBA offseason to add on to the slew of their already, pretty good, young team out there, right, man? So, yes, trading Karl Anthony Towns. Is it the right time to do it? I don't really know if it's the case. But then now, let's assume it does happen. Let's assume that they get a good trade together with the Portland Trailblazers. What exactly does that trade even look like? Because yesterday I did a video about Damian Lillard talking about, 3 trades that I think Portland should do to get his team better right now. And then I did 2, kind of like fun trades to get Damian on a different team, that being the Lakers and the Knicks. And there was some mixed reactions about that. But hey, man, it's all for fun. It's just basketball talk. I'm not saying it's going to happen. But yeah, man, when it comes down to it, does a trade even make sense? If you are the Portland Trailblazers, yes, whatever it takes to get KAT with Damian Lillard, you absolutely do that. But then you look at Minnesota's side of things. As you guys saw in the clip in the beginning, assuming it didn't get copyrighted, Stephen A. Smith, he said, CJ McCollum, Nurkic, whoever else over to Minnesota. And I look at that and I'm like, what the hell is this team going to do with CJ McCollum, man? Like, it makes no sense for them to get CJ McCollum on this team whatsoever. Not only does he not fit their rebuild, being 29, 30 years of age, getting paid $30+ million, but also this team is already so guard heavy as it is. They already have Malik Beasley. They already have, D'Lo, who does mainly play the point guard spot. They got Ricky Rubio, who hasn't really, he's been fine. They can, Ricky Rubio can go somewhere else. That's completely fine, man. They got Anthony Edwards, who actually at times during the NBA season had to play power forward because there's so many damn guards on this team. Jarrett Culver, who I guess is considered a 3, but, he's not really done much because there's just not a lot of opportunities for him on the team. You got Josh Okogie. It's like, where's he going to fit into this lineup? CJ McCollum on the Timberwolves makes zero sense whatsoever. Nurkic, he's not Karl Anthony Towns. So I really don't think Minnesota is in a place to do this type of trade. But let's assume something does happen. Why does Minnesota do it? Maybe they just don't believe that this is going to be a route with KAT that is going to lead to a championship. Maybe they just simply think, okay, we'll get CJ, we'll get Nurkic, we'll put guys on the court, they'll do their thing. Maybe if anything, we could showcase CJ a little bit more as like the primary guy in an offense. He's always been the second guy to Damian Lillard, so being the primary guy in the offense, maybe that helps his trade value. We can swing him for something else later on. I don't really know, and just eventually, probably lose a ton of games, continue tanking, continue getting draft picks, and go that route all over again. And then, for Portland, they obviously do it just because they already have CJ's replacement, Norman Powell. Now, I also like Gary Trent. Like, I kind of wish they would have kept Gary Trent, but also Norman Powell's been a bucket at times for the team too. I'm really either or about both those guys. They're both really good basketball players. But regardless, man, you team up Damian with KAT. Is that right there enough, though? Like, is that enough for KAT to, or I'm sorry, well, really for both these guys to look at, Damian and say, okay, we have Karl Anthony Towns. We can now compete for a championship. And to be honest, I think there's a possibility. I think, yet again, it's also going to come down to not only getting a new head coach. It sounds like Damian wants Jason Kidd. I have a feeling Jason Kidd's probably going to get the job, but it sounds like it might be Jason Kidd. So, Jason Kidd is an okay coach at times. He had his ups and downs when he was coach of Milwaukee and stuff. But yeah, they can get some free agents besides those guys, because you obviously got to bring back Robert Covington. I know Robert was actually on the Timberwolves a few seasons ago with Karl Anthony Towns, and I always thought he would be the perfect guy next to KAT. And it turns out when he was on the team, it was fine, but it wasn't as good as I thought it could be. So hopefully it would be better a second time around in a different scenario, different players. Obviously bring back Norman Powell. And then, you got to get probably another small forward or some type of wing player out there, because Carmelo Anthony definitely getting up there in age. I don't really think he's a long-term, case scenario for this team, or he should be a bench player for sure. So yeah, man, I don't really know. It's do I think that's a championship team? I mean, Damian's been known to go crazy. He's been known to go crazy, man. And Karl Anthony Towns, I think, is one of the gifted big guys of this generation of basketball players, man. He really can do it all out there. Who need to be a second option. So that'd be a little interesting seeing him be a second option, Damian Lillard. But I think if anything, his ability to kind of open up the court for everybody else would be really nice, because your Nurkic plays mostly on the inside and stuff, so that would be a nice little change of pace right there. I mean, the man can shoot his threes. I always said that KAT's kind of like a guard in the center spot. He's kind of got that Jokic build to him almost, right, man? Maybe not as gifted as a passer or anything, but offensively, KAT, definitely one of the most gifted offensive players in the NBA. So I would be kind of okay seeing it and just trying out something new. But yet again, I don't really see a trade in which Minnesota does this. It just doesn't make sense to me whatsoever for them to give up their young, talented center for a shooting guard. And not to mention, it's if KAT's on the trade block, Portland ain't going to be the only one biting. There's going to be a ton of teams out there, and I think there's a lot better trade, proposals out there for them to get. But when it comes down to it, man, the center position, it's really hard to get that type of center. I mean, the center is, I would say, probably when it comes down to basketball, is the position that varies as far as how you can dominate. Have that be, you know, a guy like Clint Capella that can grab rebounds and catch lobs. Have that be like a Jokic that can do everything out there. Joel Embiid, the way he plays the game. Rudy Gobert, you know, strictly being defense and rebounding. Karl Towns, who's more of like the offensive side of things. There's so many ways for the center spot to dominate, but it's really hard to find like that perfect mesh that fits your team perfectly, right? And KAT, I think, is the guy that fits most teams perfectly. So what do you guys think? Do you guys think that a trade's going to go down? Do you think Stephen A. Smith is just kind of talking? And I'm curious who his source is. If it's Woj, if Woj says it, man, it's true. But that's all we got for today's video. Hopefully you guys all enjoyed. You know, be sure to drop that like, subscribe if you're new to the channel, and peace out, my friends.